Hello there everybody, and in today's video I'm going to be continuing on with the Good Gear series. This isn't really a series, but I thought I should be able to help you guys out. Since in the last video, for this Good Gear sort of thing, I told you guys how to get good gear, but I realized, and with some questions down in the comments, I realized that some people don't really understand gear. So I thought maybe I'd explain what to do with this gear, and why it's here, and what abilities do. So, here we go. I'll show you guys how you can check what your bonuses are going to be, when they're going to change, and everything like that. But first, let's give you some explanation for what gear does. So, for this golden toothpick, for example, there is one middle bit in the very top that says Special Charge Up. Special Charge Up increases special gauge fill rate, which is basically how much turf you need to ground before you get your special. So basically, it makes it more powerful. It's a really good ability, and it's pretty fun. Now, the main one, the big circle one, is the most powerful one. It gives you a good bonus of exactly. The main piece of gear does vary between pieces, but for Special Charge Up, it increases it by 9.1%, which is pretty gigantic. And when you have 3 subs, which aren't as powerful, but still give you a hefty boost. Such examples would be, let's say I was turfing with my splashdown without any Special Charge Up, it would take a little bit longer to get it than just using it normally. It would take me, it's 170 points of turf, and it would probably bring it down by I'd say about 20 points of turf. Not exactly, but it makes it feel a lot quicker. And that's kind of the whole point of this thing. That is Special Charge Up explained. Then there's Ink Recovery Up. Ink Recovery Up works in 2 ways. One, when you're swimming in ink, in your own ink, and when you're walking. Because when you're walking, your ink tank doesn't fill as fast. But let's say you were swimming, it increases faster. But with Ink Recovery Up, it increases your ink. It gives you more ink while you're walking. So it's really good. Let's say you're in a gunfight, then you're out of ink and you don't have any turf behind you. You can try to just jump to the side to escape and maybe get your ink back and maybe get the kill. It's pretty simple. Just increases your ink tank recovery. Then there's Run Speed. Pretty simple as well. Increases your run speed. There's a bunch of other abilities such as Main Power Up. That does increases, it changes for every single weapon. Main Power Up will increase accuracy, sometimes damage, varies between weapons. Just by pressing ZL, you'll be able to read the weapon. So yeah, what it does for the weapon. Then there's Ink Saver Sub and Main Saver. Both of these abilities are pretty self-explanatory. Ink Saver saves your main ink tank. So let's say you were shooting a weapon that takes a lot of ink. Use that one, use some Main Saver, and you'll be fine. Then there's Sub Saver. It decreases the amount of ink used with your sub weapons. Pretty self-explanatory as well. There's Bomb Defense Up DX, which basically decreases the amount of time you are tracked by Stingray. Thermal ink, and it decreases the amount of damage you take from bombs. So it's really good to have, actually. Let's say you got hit by a burst bomb, it takes 3 burst bombs to kill you, which is pretty good. Then there's Quick Super Jump, which is right there in the main. That ability helps you out a lot by increasing your quick super jump speed. So super jumping generally takes quite a lot amount of time, but if you have some quick super jump, it decreases that time by quite a lot. Then there's Drop Roller. These are just abilities that'll come with certain pieces of gear. Those are basically all of them. There's Sub Power Up. It just increases your sub damage, or other things depending on it. It just upgrades your sub weapon. Then there's Quick Respawn, which increases your respawn time without you being splatted. So let's say you splat one. Let's say you splatted one opponent, you died. You splatted one opponent, you died. You splatted one opponent and you died. It wouldn't really do much. But let's say you were splatted 3 times in a row without killing anybody. It would increase that spawn rate. Special Saver reduces special gauge decrease after getting splatted. So you save on your ink recovery. You save on that after you're done. Then there's Swim Speed, which increases your swim speed while in ink. There's also yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are a very quick nitty-gritty of those weapons, of those abilities. It's a pretty quick, simple thing, basically getting you understand what the abilities do. If you want to read more about that, you can. Some pieces of gear, like this one, have last-ditch effort or other things depending on the piece of gear. I'll have probably a list and a site listing all of them in the description down below. and I'll probably have like some explanations there. Now, you got this gear, you understand what the abilities do, but how should you mix and match pieces of gear, and what abilities you should use? Well, I can help with that. So if you're playing a frontlining weapon such as Splatter Shot, Splash, and any weapon that you're just basically in the front lines getting kills, and if you're dying a lot, there it is, the quick respawn. For any piece of gear, let's say you got 3 of the same ability, but you got something you don't like, just put an ability trying like quick respawn. What I have, run speed. Ink resistance, super jump, or special saver. Those are all really good. Then I'd also have some quick super jump, because if you're in the front lines, you're gonna have a backliner, hopefully. Then you can jump to them, and you can get back into the battle. With your quick super jump, you'll get in there way quicker. Run speed, or any mobility thing, depending on what you're using. Swim speed works just as fine. You might even want to use a run speed with swim speed subs, up to you, depending on how you're feeling. Now, if you're playing more of a support weapon, here's the gear I'd recommend using. Since you're playing support, you're probably going to be using your weapon a lot. Support is basically the back lines and the mid lines. They'll be there to support your front liners and your backliners. They're called support. So let's say you're making a forward push, the support would be pushing up with the front lines, but staying in the back, giving them turf and support. Then if you're playing defensively, the backliner would probably be dealing a lot with the frontliners trying to clear them out. The support can just help by getting them out and flushing them out. You'd be wanting to run some main saver. You're going to be using your weapon a lot. That's kind of your whole thing. Any mobility things with ink resistance, you only need 1 ink resistance. That's something I think I should mention. You don't need too much ink resistance. 1 does just fine. And special saver. You're going to be using your special a lot because you're turfing so much. But if you keep getting killed, you're not going to be saving on that special and losing out on that precious special juice. So that's why I'd be recommending using some special saver. Helps you out a lot in the battle, and it's really good to use. Now, if you're playing more of a backliner approach, here's what I'd recommend using. Pardon the lack of actual abilities here, but I'll just fill you in. Tenacity. I'd recommend using Tenacity if you're using a backlining weapon. Let me just equip a backlining weapon to represent what I'm talking about, which would be the Nautilus 79, which could be a frontline weapon, but depending on how you're playing. This one, Tenacity. Fill special gauge automatically if your team has fewer active players than the enemy. Now, what I'd say there is, it's insane for backliners. Your whole thing with a backliner is being basically a beacon for your teammates. You're there, you're not letting the enemies into your base, and you're doing your job of protecting and supporting everybody. You're basically the most important person on the team. You are very, very important. That's why you'd recommend using Tenacity. It increases your special bonus with some special saver in there. I don't have any special saver. Pardon that. That's my bad. I wish I had something there. I could even just equip this just to look like I have something, but I don't. And what I recommend using is special saver for like your head with your Tenacity. That way it just looks a little bit cleaner. And that's really important. Ink recovery up. Since you're going to be more of a backlining, since you're going to be up top and shooting a lot, using ink recovery up is going to be helpful when you're trying to escape backwards. It's going to refill your ink tank. Any mobility would be great on this weapon as well. Like swim speed, probably one of the best, and run speed. Both of those depends on how you're feeling. Put that on your shoes, which have Object Shredder. Object Shredder increases the damage to non-all player targets. So let's say beacons, enemy bubbles, and Rainmaker Shield, I believe. I'm not totally sure. I'm pretty sure it does. And what it does is just super good, because let's say somebody plays down bubbles, because that's used a lot in competitive play now, is they spawn bubbles. If you have your thing charged up, those bubbles don't exist no more. It's really good to use, and if you have teammates supporting you while you're doing it, perfect. For this piece of gear, I'd recommend using run speed, maybe like 2 run speed and maybe 1 swim speed. Either of them, 2 swim speed, 2 run speed, depending on what situations you're feeling in a lot. That's basically my approach to these pieces of gear and these playstyles. And so, you know all this now. You know all these abilities, you know all the important things, and that's pretty much it. Honestly, you know your gear, you know everything. I'm going to have a site link down below where you can test out new gear. It's basically a site you can just drag and drop gear onto a fake set, make sure to select the proper weapon, and you'll learn it. And it's pretty helpful. I use it a lot when deciding weapons and pieces of gear I want to grind for. That's pretty much it for all the gear. Now, there is some questions I've seen a lot of especially for some certain people that have been wondering, how do I tell what super bonuses I'm gonna get? I'm about to show you that right now. So once you're in Salmon Run, you may be in here, and you may be wondering, so I've been playing a lot of games and still no drink tickets. Well, there's something really important with that. If you just press Y, you're able to see what you have. You have your current gear, which is the Octo Elite goggles for me, and your daily super bonus. Your super bonus changes daily. As it says, daily super bonus. I have cash. Make sure to check this, because there's nothing worse than grinding out a bunch of Salmon Run, and you realize, dang it, I got ability chunks for my super bonus. That is the worst thing you could ever get. It's so annoying, and sometimes it just really sucks. And make sure to always check this. It's really helpful, and I think that's pretty much it. And there's some other things that if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. We're almost to 200, which is pretty insane. And that's it. Bye-bye.